Hey, ladies and gentlemen, this is Chris Sost, and I just wanted to take this opportunity to thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode.
Hey, everybody, thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Gig Economy Lounge. Today's episode is I'm going to start a trend with the topic, which is good TNC company, bad TNC company. This is where I'm going to highlight policies, rate changes, or anything else that either Uber, Lyft, or anybody else does that I would deem good and bad. So in today's episode, we're going to go with bad TNC company policies. And you might say, Chris, we never hear you talk negative about either company, maybe Lyft sometimes, but you seem to protect Uber. And I would say yes, in the instances where I see that what they're doing is, at least in my mind, cool. But today I ran into an issue. So I want to, throw that issue out there to everybody. So in my mind, I didn't know this until today. And looking back on some trips, it doesn't make sense. Today, I had a client who was going from pretty far north of my house to St. Pete, Clearwater International. And I set my destination to Tampa International simply because I wanted to get another trip along the way. So drop my client off and I'm in destination mode. He's the last client of the day. So I'm going into what I would like to call free range mode. So I'm going to take some on-demand requests. So normally I love seeing two things. I love three things. Number one, requests early morning on Mondays and Tuesdays. Number two on those early requests is it says scheduled trips or scheduled trip. And then the third thing is premium pickup likely. Now, I know what a lot of people are thinking when it comes to premium pickup likely. I will say this much, as an experienced leveraging rideshare driver, I know that the threshold is 9 to 11 minutes. You have to check on your market, but they will tell you what the threshold is. So any amount of time and distance over 9 minutes in the direction of your pickup, you get paid for. So this morning, I thought I seen a gold mine. 18 miles, and it was like 21 minutes. That to me signals a huge long distance pickup fee because 9 minutes in means I'd be right at, 9 miles because of the highway. And then everything after that, which would be about 10 miles, is all long distance pickup fees. So I said, yes. So of course I took this request. Drive there. Mind you, I'm in destination mode. Just want to put that out there. Pick up the lady, like it said on their premium pickup likely. So I thought everything was cool. I know that when it comes to Uber Select and XL and Lux SUV, that long distance pickup fees are excluded. I knew that beforehand. So this was an Uber X trip. So I said, all right, it's cool. Like I had already made my cake for the day. So this was just going to be like a super amount of like icing, maybe a little bit of powdered sugar on top. Pick up the lady, really nice, tipped even really well. Ended up netting about $40 on the trip. And when I went and looked at the fare, it didn't look right considering the tip that she gave. So I scroll through the fare details and lo and behold, there's no long distance pickup fee. So obviously I'm going to reach out to the folks in witness protection, AKA Uber support with people's names like John, Mary, Joseph, Jose, all these names that these people don't actually have. So they enlightened me to this other little caveat on the long distance pickup fees. Trips that have a surge or a boost or are in destination mode are also excluded from long distance pickup fees. So I get rather heated about this because I know over the past week I've done at least 3 trips, have them on my screen, where I've been paid the long distance pickup fee even though I was in destination mode. So this person continues to regurgitate and regurgitate some more the shit that's on the screen. I said, it would have been nice, if you guys would have sent something out. Anyways, all I was doing on that phone call was obviously venting because there wasn't shit that person was going to do anyways. Those people can't do anything except read from a screen. I get it. They don't get paid very much. They're offshore, whatever. What I did find a little bit perturbing though, is the very fact that they could not even escalate my issue to U.S. operations. I said, escalate this to U.S. operations in Florida. I said, and if you can't do that, and it has to be more general, use D.C. because that's East Coast headquarters. They couldn't even do that. So, when it comes to bad policy Uber, this trip was significantly a terrible choice for their policy change, simply because they tried to explain, well, it's in destination mode. And I said, if I would have gotten a trip request and it was actually in the direction of my destination on destination mode, the pickup location, I would totally see that as cool. But this one took me extremely far out of the way. However, once burned, twice learned. They're not going to fool me again. So yes, I could be pissed off, but what I want other drivers to learn is to get your frustrations out and then adapt, adjust. So from now on, anytime I use destination mode, any ride request that comes in over 9 minutes away, over 8 minutes away, they will not be picked up. No big deal, no skin off of my back. Obviously, the rider's just going to have to wait even longer to get picked up, but that's Uber's problem. That's not my problem. Whew! Vented on here. Now, let's talk about something that's affecting a lot of people, not in my market yet, but we all know it's coming, which is Lyft's adjusted rates. So we did bad TNC policy for Uber. Now we're about to do bad TNC policy for Lyft. A lot of drivers complained that Lyft didn't pay a long distance pickup fee. Actually, at first, if you knew how to work the support system, you used to get $5 for it. Well, too many drivers found out about that. Lyft started to see a pattern, so they went ahead and cut that off in Lyft support to where they couldn't give $5 anymore. Whatever. Cool. I was going to leave it at that. As a Lyft driver, I just don't accept long pickups, period. It's whatever. But a lot of people kept complaining about it. So Lyft went and changed the rates. Now they said you get paid from the moment you get the request. Everybody's like, yes. And then Lyft says, but we're going to cut the rates. And then everybody says, no. And I sit back and I say, I told you so. This is what happens when you ask for changes instead of just adapting. You just have to adapt. All you had to do is just like me. Stop accepting long pickup requests. Fuck the riders. That's their problem. It's not yours. You're just a driver. You're just an independent contractor. You have to do what's in your best interest. The same thing with prime time and all these other changes that these companies are making. They're going to make these changes, guys. It's all a test. They are testing the waters. Similarly, Uber tested 30-cent rates actually a long time ago in Detroit, Michigan. So all my Detroit drivers out there that were driving in 15 and 16, I think 16 in particular is when they did this. Maybe late 2015. I'm not 100% certain, but I believe it was in 2016. They went 30-cent base fare, 30 cents per mile, 30 cents per minute on rides. Uber was literally just testing whether drivers would continue to drive. Now, obviously, they wrapped it up in a bow and they said, "Oh, we're trying to blah 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 earnings blah 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 higher earnings blah 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 blah." But in the end, they were just testing to see what they could do. At what point does contractors turn around and say it's no longer beneficial? Well, Uber since reversed that policy actually relatively quickly. I think they changed back in 90 days. Maybe 120. Don't quote me on that, but it was relatively quickly. It was within 3 to 4 months. They just changed it back. Obviously, drivers stopped driving, so they had to change. This is something that drivers all across the country should take note of. When drivers actually stop driving, you don't have to organize, you don't have to protest on the street, you don't have to do all this other stuff. You literally just have to turn off the apps. When enough drivers turn off the apps, these companies reverse policies. They always do. They always have. So when it comes to these new rates of getting paid, from the moment you get a pickup request, obviously now the exact opposite is true. So for me as a rideshare driver, when I would receive a Lyft request 4 minutes away, totally accept it, right? Right down the street, no big deal. When something was 15 minutes away and 13 miles away, I would say, no way, Jose, because I'm not getting paid on the way there. Now the exact opposite is true. Since I'm getting paid half the amount, now I need more distance between me and the rider for it to make sense. So at 33 cents a mile or 30 cents a mile, 40 cents a mile, it doesn't really matter how many cents a mile it is, I am going to take the longer rides, and then the shorter riders are going to get shafted. Which, I mean, in reality, it's not a huge deal, from my end, because, I'm like 10, 11,000 rides on Uber, and, I'm barely pushing 450 Lyft rides. Like, I turn down Lyft rides like it's going out of style. My Lyft acceptance rate is like single digits 99% of the time. Like, I think one week I was actually able to get it down to 1%, even though I didn't accept a single trip in that 7 days. I was hoping to see a 0% acceptance rate, but they didn't give it to me. All I got was 1%. So this is just two instances of bad TNC policies. This is bad TNC policy for Lyft, bad TNC policy for Uber. Do I think both of them should change it? Absolutely. Am I going to hold my breath on them changing it? Absolutely not. What am I going to do? I'm going to adapt. So what does that mean? On Uber, if I'm in destination mode, fuck you, long pickup riders. You have to wait for somebody else. On Lyft, if those rates, or when those rates get to the Tampa Bay market, what am I going to do? Lyft rider right down the street where it's really, it's not Lux, it's not 30, 45 minutes plus. You know what? I'm sorry, fuck you. You're only 4 minutes away and 1 mile, so I'm only going to get paid 33 cents on the way there. Whereas, hey, Lyft rider that's, 14 minutes away and 13 miles, I'm going to come pick you up. So let me know what you think in the comments section below. Shoot me a DM, however you want to do it. Check out our Facebook page. I believe it's at the Gig Economy Lounge, or you can just search the Gig Economy Lounge. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, and then there's like 9 different podcast channels. So if you're listening to this from a podcast, thank you so much. Subscribe to all of our other places. You can search for us at the Gig Economy Lounge. Thank you very much and have a wonderful day.